Not gonna watch this whole video, but if you don't know who this is, it's Gazi. He's a left-wing extremist that got famous around 2016 and again in like 2022 or something. He, if not started, at least pushed the hashtag yes, all white people, and was arguing that all white people are racist. And, you know, there's an academic argument in there for that or whatever. But he's just straight up racist. He believes that black people and white people should live separately. And a whole bunch of other crazy stuff. And it turns out he was arrested for, or his organization was exposed or something for Russian influence peddling. Here we go. Black Hammer, that's his organization, leader charged in Russian influence scheme. Oh boy. Anyway, he did an interview with a guy named Gavin McInnes. He's the leader of the Proud Boys. So I want to listen to that interview, but before we do, just get an idea of who this is real quick. While we listen to this, we're going to play some Metroid Zero Mission. Should be in the background, won't bother you too much, you never played before. Alright, let's give this a listen.
Aquabia!
Okay, that's loud enough. But the soundboard doesn't seem to be. Let me see if I can amp up the soundboard. Hang on. Wait.
I am not.
Maybe it's just that's really quiet.
Fucking thing sucks! I'm dumber than a box of rocks in a lot of areas. I'm dumber than a box of rocks in a lot of areas.
All right, that seems okay.
Fucking thing sucks!
I am not confident at all.
Yeah, that close enough. It's amped up to 100. All right, let's listen to this.
Hey, I'm back, ready to attack.
We're not going to watch the whole video. I just want to give you an idea of who this is.
I'm back, ready to attack. So I took a 3-week, almost kind of month break, y'all. It's been crazy. I had a birthday. I'm 25 now, back in the face. My ex is now dating a big ass, old ass, ugly.
I'm sorry. Ignore the stuff in the bottom left corner. I had to pull this from one of my old videos because I couldn't find this video anywhere else.
Cave beast, Urugu, Neanderthal Tom, toilet complexion, individual.
Yeah, he's super racist. He just said toilet seat complexion. How f***ed up is that? Seriously. Jesus Christ, dude.
So if y'all thought that I hated white people before, today's
I'm sorry. It's so painfully stupid.
video is yes, all white people. Hashtag yes, all white people. Started by my girl Seren. All white people are racist. Every one of them. But Gazi, don't make such general statements. It's wrong. Don't make general statements, Gazi. Okay, so all general statements are not incorrect, right? All rocks are hard. All water is wet. And a lot.
When you're making statements about people and personalities and people groups and ethnicities, general statements are all false. All of them.
A lot of you understand, right, through systems of oppression that all black people are oppressed, right? And you understand that all white people have white privilege. You get that, right? Those are general statements that are true. So all general statements are not false.
No, those general statements are, in fact, false, actually. Not all black people deal with, what was it he said? I mean, there are black people in Africa that don't deal with stuff.
People have white privilege.
There are white people in Africa that don't have white privilege. Because there have been so many changes over, like, the years in, in, like, political control in South Africa, for example.
All water is wet. And a lot of you understand, right, through systems of oppression that all black people are oppressed.
They're not all oppressed through systems of oppression. That's the thing. Not every single black person. That's why all general statements are false. I will make that general statement. All general... No, I can't make that even. That's wrong. Many general statements are false. We'll say that. It's the only accurate one that I can make. Anyway, the point is that this person is completely full of shit and deeply, deeply racist. And just like at the end of the video, just get an idea of what he said at the very end here. Because it'll be relevant in a second.
I am Gazi Kozo, and I make a video every Monday and Thursday because I ain't got no life, and I gotta beat up on that white beast every day.
Yeah, so anyway, God, just such a weird person with so many weird beliefs, you know? Like, being a communist who's also, like, a segregationist and a black supremacist. It's just really, really odd to have like this combination of all of these beliefs simultaneously. Anyway, Yeah, let's listen to the interview between Gazi Kodzo and Gavin McInnes. I'm going to jump ahead because the first part is them sparring and Gavin McInnes on the bottom there. He's just being a fool. All right, let's start here, I think.
So, how about mind if I jump in?
Yeah, we got to keep the answers a little shorter.
All right.
It went like I saw myself.
Yeah, we all see each other. But, I mean, my argument was, I was going to start from talking about, I mean, usually people argue for reparations for slavery. I mean, obviously you and your movement take it to a different level with colonialism. But to talk about slavery, we have a control group in that the North didn't.
I'm sorry, let me just step back because he was asked, how much should people get for reparations? And what does that look like? I'm personally in favor of reparations. I don't know what that looks like. I mean, I figure we'd have like a scientist or something draw up plans for that. But I would say we'd have to categorize everybody who's affected by the North American slave trade, and we would take money out of like the federal tax dollars and give it to them for that. That's kind of my general vision, but listen to the answer here.
That can get us, a big
All right.
picture.
I guess we'll start simple. Is there any dollar value of reparations that, like, have you quantified it to a dollar value that you would want to be owed? And how would it be paid out? Would it just be the U.S. government would collect taxes from primarily white people and pay
No, from everybody.
it out? How would it work? Or would it be like a private kind of system you want people to opt into?
A dollar amount?
Yeah. Do you think, like, the average black person's owed, 10 grand, 20 grand each? Is there anything like that?
I think that free college education would go a long way, actually. Just no money, just free college education.
Quick interjection, this won't take long, I promise. I'd appreciate it if you watched to the end of the video, or at least a couple extra seconds, because YouTube bases its algorithm off of watch time. The more watch time a video has, the further the video will go. Also, take a look at my website, owenmorgan.com. I'm selling my book, Understanding Jehovah's Witnesses, 400 pages, and my second book, 100 Questions for Jehovah's Witnesses, which is about 80 pages. And you can find them both there on the website. Audio form, ebook form, whatever. It's about my experiences within the religion and the history of the religion generally. The 100 questions are intended to challenge a religious leader, so I'd appreciate it if you give it a read. Okay, back to the video.
Well, studies show that it's for the labor itself, it's around $14 trillion.
Okay, yeah, I think I've seen this study here.
African people stolen.
Do not trust a single study this person cites. Completely full of shit with practically everything out of his mouth. But that wouldn't surprise me, that one.
Lives of African people have been given to build the United States government and to build economy, the capitalist economy that you know of. But I, and as well as the party, understand that that amount is a drop in the puddle of what is owed to African people that has given our everything, we've forcefully given our everything, not just labor. I mean, labor is one thing, but to give away our history, to give away our language, to give away our connection to Africa, to disperse us, to rape us, to push us into privately owned prisons, to build a prison industrial complex.
I agree with a lot of this, that there's real ugly stuff that happens to the black community today, like not historically. That does not, however, justify all the crazy shit, like a black separatist state or whatever. That is not justified. It just isn't. I'm sorry.
To destroy African children through...
Oh, and I'm sorry. And it also doesn't justify calling people toilet seat complected. Like, what the is wrong with you?
The school to prison pipeline, to murder African children on the street, to make African women feel inferior, to starve African children because of parasitic capitalism.
I think I agree with pretty much all of this, yes, so far, except, he made a little shot at capitalism there. Capitalism has a lot of problems. I believe that those problems should be mitigated through regulation, personally, and that capitalism is still fundamentally the best system, not a good system, but the only one that we've got, practically. Like, this guy is not a capitalist, so that shot he took at capitalism there is because he's a communist.
The amount is the liberation and determination of African people, and everything that you see anything you see of the white nation has been stolen from African and colonized people. I mean, from the people you call Aboriginals in Australia to...
That's not true, but okay.
The people of South America, These people, these lands are poor because Europe is wealthy.
Okay, he's making a really complex political statement right now. These countries are poor because the West is wealthy. I don't know about that. Maybe. That could be. But again, I don't trust a word out of his mouth.
Oh, yeah. That's
All right. So how about mind if I jump in?
Yeah, we got to keep the answers a little shorter.
All right.
It went,
They could have jumped in any time.
it went like I saw myself.
Yeah. We all see each other. But I mean,
They're acting like he's an idiot, like he's just an unintelligent moron.
my argument was I was going to start from talking about, I mean, usually people argue for reparations for slavery. I mean, obviously you and your movement take it to a different level with colonialism. But to talk about slavery, we have a control group in that the North didn't have slavery, the South did. So in response to the argument that slavery built America, and obviously it contributed a great amount, in the North had something like 75% of all wealth prior to the Civil War. And obviously there was never a slave in the North. So
Are you kidding me? There was never a slave in the North? What? Yes, there was. There were slaves in the North. It's just like, culturally, it moved away from slavery in the North after a while. What an absolutely ridiculously absurd thing to say. We underestimate how prevalent slavery was, actually. It wasn't just like rich landowning, plantation owners or whatever. It wasn't just people like that. It was also something like, oh my God, 2/3 of households, I think, or something like that. 2/3 of households, maybe, owned a slave. That's crazy. Oh my God, those numbers.
only something like 5% of GDP was actually attributable to slavery.
There was no slaves in the North.
History?
Like, what? That's just complete bullshit.
New York City had slaves. Underneath what you call the stock market, there was slaves. There's bones of slaves that you can find. There's chains that you can find underneath that. You need to do.
Okay, I'm not sure what. I assume he's speaking figuratively, but it sounds like he's speaking literally.
History and see that underneath Wall Street was African slaves, slavery. And no matter what part of white people or which white person didn't own a slave, they all benefited from slavery. Because I heard.
Well, everybody benefited from slavery, ultimately. That doesn't mean that one people group should pay the price, 200 years later, or whatever it is. However, the price should be paid. People should be compensated. There should be reparations, I think. That's even controversial in, like, the left-leaning community, honestly.
This one here.
Gavin.
Gavin.
Whatever. You were saying that only 1% of white people or something own slaves.
Yes, about 1.5%.
Well, but how many white people contributed in stealing the slaves, chaining the slaves, beating the slaves, finding the slaves, making sure that the slaves wouldn't run away, and benefiting from slavery? So the ownership of the slave is not the only contradiction.
Wasn't that all Arabs and Jews and blacks?
Oh my God, no. Are you shitting me?
Weren't Arabs and Jews and blacks the ones selling the slaves? Didn't they create?
There were all kinds of people groups selling slaves, yes. It wasn't Arabs and Jews and blacks exclusively selling slaves. Oh my God.
10 million slaves out of nothing and sell them mostly to Brazil? We got like 388,000.
Brazil got about 20 million total.
Really?
It was something. It's
Like, these people are just making shit up completely. We heard earlier, they said, Gavin, or who was it? One of them said, there were no slaves in the North. What? That is one of the craziest things I think I've ever heard in my life. Somebody say, there were no slaves in the North.
Okay.
either between 10 and 20. It was a very high number compared to what we got.
First, let's go to black Africans selling other Africans as slaves. The definition of slavery that white people had of slavery did not exist on the face of Africa.
Bullshit.
Beating, taking the names of, separating of families, lynching, branding, forcefully raping, forcefully breeding did not happen in Africa.
That's just, I don't believe that for a second. Human history is full of examples of horrific, disgusting behavior like that. And we started out as a species in Africa. So I'm sorry. I'm just like, I don't believe you.
They were cool with their slaves.
Only like 3,000.
Why did 2 million die just not even getting out of the continent then?
A totally different thing on the continent of Africa. What you are talking about is other nations of people coming and also partaking in the destruction and slavery of Africa. But it's what you owe. And as a child, as some little child that says, oh yeah, I hit Timmy, but guess what? They hit Timmy too. But guess what? You are benefiting right now from what you do.
Yeah, I think it's the number of little boys that hit Timmy, though.
Well, the thing I wanted to bring up too,
Focusing on one guy who hit Timmy once as opposed to the entire schoolyard.
I did not exactly.
Oh my God, dude. So he's saying that, like, nobody is alive today who perpetrated slavery, so nobody should have to foot the bill or whatever. It isn't really about punishment for me, reparations. I don't believe anybody should be punished today. It's about making people whole. It's about the fact that people suffered terribly, and they should be compensated for that and receive some kind of benefit so that they can, like, come back to, so that they can reach, like, the heights of everybody else in society. Like, you ever wonder why there are only like 3 black billionaires or something in America? A lot more outside of America, but there may be more now. But it used to be like Oprah and Michael Jordan and Jay-Z or something. It's because black people were just recently allowed to go around the monopoly board. Like, white people in America have been going around for how many? 250 something years, right? And just in 1960, not that long ago, 1960, 65, I think, they were legally allowed to go around the monopoly board, completely ignoring the fact that the KKK took things into their hands at that point and started burning crosses on people's lawns who decided to, like, maintain the rights or to exercise the rights that they were given in 1965 by, like, going around that monopoly board. Just insane.
The entire schoolyard you colonized. The entire schoolyard you colonized. The entire schoolyard you loot from.
Like, both of these people, that's the problem here, really. Both these people are extreme. Gazi Kodzo and Gavin McInnes are both in La La Land, in different directions. It is so fascinating to watch. Meaningful reparations would mean pushing money to black neighborhoods, removing lead, improving the schools, making them safe. That's one example of reparations that don't involve just giving money to individuals. I like it. Yes, I love it. I love everything about that. I'm all for it. Also, maybe free college education for anybody affected by the slave trade, by the North American slave trade, I would say.
Everything you have, every material you have is connected to a colonized and oppressed nation.
Are these countries better off when they get colonized? Wasn't colonization nothing but an improvement for the third world?
And you think it was an improvement for the black community? I mean, they're living as second-class citizens in the United States and other, like in South Africa, they were horrifically oppressed for, I don't even know how long, like worse than America. Slavery and treatment there was worse than it was in America, surprisingly, if you can believe that. And they finally set up a system, I think in 1993 or something, with a new constitution and everything that was fair. But once again, there were all those generations throughout history of people who have been mistreated and oppressed and taken advantage of and everything else. Something needs to be done to, like, make communities whole.
There are cases when it's obviously not, like the British in India.
Well, look at Haiti. They kick out all the whites. It becomes a hellhole.
Zimbabwe.
Look at Jamaica after 1969. Look at South Africa today.
Yeah.
The less white people, the more dangerous it seems to be.
That's just not true.
That happened in
From the attacks of white people, from the attacks of imperialism. Do you know that they cut off Haiti from doing trade with anyone? And that
Oh, so you didn't get enough handouts.
Didn't get enough capitalism?
Okay, trade is not handout. Are you serious right now? Do you know what trade is?
Didn't give you enough shit after you kicked me out?
They assassinated Haitian leaders.
He didn't say enough, like, God, what's the term I'm looking for here? Enough aid. He said trade. These people are shameless.
Assassination Haitian leaders. They put Coachella virus in Haiti. They put HIV and AIDS in Haiti. They have attacked Haiti when the...
I don't know who they is in this scenario. I feel like he's using it a little freely here. But yeah, the black community's been mistreated. It's so hard to walk the fine line of reasonable in a discussion with, like, two people who are absolutely not reasonable in any way, who are absolutely insane, both of them.
Haitian earthquake happened, the Clintons stole billions of dollars from Haiti.
Well, that's correct. Sure, yeah.
Given to the Haitian infrastructure.
How could you even tell after Haiti had an earthquake? Before and after pictures look the same.
My God, dude, he's just being a shithead. Why? Why are you like this?
Is that a liberated African people will always fail because there's something innate in Black people that will make us fail. Because that's your argument, and it's not.
Yeah, that's really the point. He was talking over it, but this is important. It can be because of one of two things. Either Haiti is doing poorly because they're genetically inferior, or because Black people, or because for societal reasons, one or the other. If it's for societal reasons, it can be fixed. We can improve communities and, reparations or whatever it is. If it's genetic, then you're just like, you're Hitler. You're arguing the same thing that Hitler argued.
No, of course not.
Not really. No, my argument is that white people are not better than anyone. We're just very good at systems. I don't know why. Everyone
That is literally you saying that white people are better than people.
has a talent. Our talent is systems. We're good at roads and infrastructure, and you show your ticket here and you get your pie over there.
You didn't build those infrastructures, so you're not good at that. You're good at stealing and looting, and that's why you have a country that has only went 24 to 27 years without a war, because you're good at stealing, because each and every war is of you stealing resources. No, you are not good at systems, sweetheart.
He's categorizing all white people into like a single category. See, this is like the problem with general statements right here. Seriously. There are all kinds of different like countries out there, like a billion European countries who don't engage in war, who are democratic and don't hate anybody for anything, and just moving, chugging along or whatever, and have nothing to do with what the United States is doing, trying to steal resources from people, like they did in Iraq. Oh my God. General statements.
You are good at colonialism. You are
resources, gold and diamonds?
I don't understand the argument, though, that it was, let's say, slaves that built up America. Like, we could just walk out on the street and look at any 10 buildings and none of
Well, the other problem with that whole argument, Gazi, is after the Civil War, the balance sheet was zero. So you build up a restaurant.
The balance sheet was zero. What does that mean? The balance sheet after the Civil War was zero. I don't understand what that could possibly mean. Is he saying like, oh, we're even now? Everything's cool. We're not going to think about or worry about anything else anymore? We're done? That's not how it played out, though.
And it burns to the ground, and then someone rebuilds a new restaurant, and you go, that's my restaurant. I built it.
There is massive, there is actually massive inflation in the South during the Civil War.
Not a lot of cotton money going around these days.
No, but there was massive inflation in the South following the Civil War.
These people are dumb as dog shit. Are they intentionally idiots, or are they pretending to be?
Finance the war.
Convict leasing. Have you ever heard of convict leasing?
Okay, that's a different argument. Now you're getting into the way they were treated after the war. Now it's racism.
Oh my God, dude. The balance sheet was made equal, he says. Everything was even. Everything was fair after the war. And he brings something up after the war, and he says, oh, what? You can't bring that up. That's after the war. Are you serious right now? Community college already free in many communities. College attendance starts in kindergarten. Poor neighborhoods don't have pre-K, which is key in getting kids through college. That's true. Okay. I mean, I'm willing to find whatever solution there could be. I want some way to fix it.
Reparations, not slavery reparations.
People and the continuation. The basis of capitalism and imperialism is built on the bodies of African people.
Oh my. Okay, now he's going down like his communist line, which I'm not a communist personally.
So even if you say, fine, now you have these resources to rebuild. The resources that you have to rebuild is from the resources that you stole from Africa. None of you here can say where the resources came from, and it didn't come from your systems, and it didn't come from your brightness, and it didn't come from...
No, I'm not sure what resources we're talking about specifically here, but sure. There was a lot of, like, historic taking advantage of people. Absolutely, I agree.
You being more intelligent than others. It came from stolen loot.
I just want to clarify.
Wait, nations are poor because white nations are rich. That is a fact. That is a fact. It is a fact that 14 countries in Africa have to give 65% of their budget to France, and then another 15% of that as a extra charge. And that if any of
I don't know what he's talking about.
those African countries even ask France how much money is in that bank, that they are overthrown and they are killed and they are replaced with another puppet regime. If
I'm sorry. I'm lost.
this wasn't true, you wouldn't have to have over 200 military bases around the world to solidify and sustain your stolen resources.
That's not why military bases are around the world, but okay.
If this was not true, everything that you are talking about is based off of bullshit. We live in a world that people are being bombed and murdered and assassinated every day so you can have resources. So yes, I'm talking about the past of what happened in Africa, but you have to understand the past is now. And stop saying African people sold African people as slaves. You put to the Africans that did not help the slave trade, they were murdered and beheaded and their heads were sent to the royals. Just now in Ghana, they got...
I don't doubt that for any particular reason. Just don't trust a word out of Gazi's mouth, okay? Look it up individually.
The heads of two of their kings back.
No, it was a big industry in Africa. It's a big industry today, my friend. There's more.
I have no doubt it was a big industry in Africa. It's been a big industry everywhere. That does not exonerate white people, and that does not condemn black people. That condemns people. Why do these people keep, like, these two specifically, why do they keep, like, separating everybody into groups that they can hate? Just fucking wild to me. It's like that time that Gavin McInnes, wait, here you go. Listen to what Gavin McInnes does here with, like, his whole separating people into groups and condemning them thing.
Yes, there are...
He's talking to Kanye West, by the way.
There are almost 80 to 90% of Hollywood is Jewish, probably more.
Yeah, I don't know how he could possibly say something like that and, like, know what he's talking about. But okay, all right, keep listening.
Media, yeah, I'm going to say like 80% of media is Jewish, but...
Like, how does he know that? Is he basing this off of anything other than emotion?
I see the Jews we're talking about in these cases as liberal elites, high IQ people, whites, and when you have, like, they're disproportionately represented in medicine, too, because they have high IQs. So the problem is...
Jews have high IQs?
Isn't these Jews, and most of them are secular Jews, atheists. I don't see Soros as Jewish. So we have these secular, mostly atheist Jewish people with high IQs who dominate fields that tend to require high IQs. They're overrepresented in chess and mathematics, too.
I don't know if that's even true. Like, none of this sounds true, but okay. In my opinion, there's this big debate in the psychology community. It's called tabula rasa. Are we born with what we have, or do we gain it later on? So are we, like, born intelligent and predisposed to things, or can you just, like, or do you just have to be taught that stuff? The answer in psychology is a mixture of both. But in my personal opinion, it leans toward we are taught that way. Like, everything that we know is taught just about, and we can be taught to do things differently, or, like, somebody with a low IQ can be given certain types of, or different education, and they can, like, improve on their IQ or whatever. In my personal opinion, I think people can just improve themselves through learning. And I think the psychology community underestimates that degree of power. But okay. Gazi Kodzo is arrested for being involved in the death of one of their comrades while they were trying to create an independent state in the wilderness of America. Yep, dead body found in his house. Oh boy.
So the real issue here, and there is an ethnomasochism, there is some sort of like, let's burn it to the ground. But I think that trait is a white trait, a liberal elite white trait. Oh, not even white per se, a liberal elite trait. Kamala Harris, Barack Obama, they also have these traits. And there's some sort of like...
Ethnomasochism, meaning you want to kill somebody because of their race. So what's the He's saying that Kamala Harris is ethnomasochistic, wants to kill white people? Or wants to hurt white people, I guess, probably more accurate.
DNA in white people where when they reach a certain amount of success, they just want to take it off a cliff. And I don't like when Jews get pulled into that, because when I think of my Orthodox Jewish friends and even my Hasidic friends, these people are conservative.
He does not have Hasidic or Orthodox Jewish friends. You can't convince me.
Trump supporting, American patriots. And the Jews that are getting lumped in with this sort of ethnomasochistic cultural suicide, tend not really to be Jewish. I call them ginos, Jews in name only.
Oh, God, the name.
It's liberal elite whites you should have a beef with.
Yeah, but I lump them all in together. That's what I...
Dude, did I just get soft locked? I think I just got... No, maybe I didn't get soft. Maybe I did get soft locked. Okay, no, I didn't get soft locked. That was gonna suck. Oh, wait, let me step back. That was the important part.
Should have a beef with.
Yeah, but I lump them all in together. That's what I did.
That's good.
That's what...
Oh, yeah, so he continues on, I think. I have the second half to this clip. This is the second half to the clip, I think.
This sort of ethnomasochistic cultural suicide tend not really to be Jewish. I call them ginos, Jews in name only. It's liberal elite whites you should have a beef with.
Yeah, but I lump them all in together. That's what I did. That's
good.
That's why the tweet said that. Jewish people.
So he's going DEFCON 4 on Jewish people. That's what Kanye said.
Okay, but this trait, like, you know, blacks are overrepresented in violent crime. But when you meet an individual black person, you don't apply that. You start with a fresh slate every time you meet someone. Do you do that with Jews?
Nope.
He's laughing because it's such a ridiculous thing to say.
This intervention isn't going very well.
Anyway, yeah, that's what was the point of this one I was going down? Oh, yeah. Anyway, that's the point. Like, Gavin McInnes is like a deeply racist person. Like, holy shit, dude.
Industry today, my friend. There's more slaves ever.
They were murdered. How can you say that? How can you say that they were not murdered for not helping because
slavery existed way before we were buying the slaves, and it still exists today.
Slavery is as old as human civilization. There's slavery in the Bible before there was any sort of...
The origin of the word's a white slave, a Slav. But
yeah, that's where
they had slavery in Africa before we decided to buy some, and they...
Yeah, I agree, but he's using this argument to, like, say that white people were completely 100% innocent in the slave trade, and that's just, like, not true at all. It's just not.
Still have them right now.
I'm a soul.
Is it my fault they have them right now?
That you invented.
No, we did not.
Never been on this face of the planet until you came.
No, it's
and
not
guess what?
true.
Your slavery, the slavery that you had, was so.
They didn't have any slavery. They have never had slavery because they have never owned slaves because slavery's been illegal since they were born. I just want to, like, really draw out this distinction. He shouldn't be, like, categorizing people into good and bad based on their skin color. Oh my God, dude. I could just as easily say your people own slaves and complain about your people and blah, blah, blah. But I don't, because that's incorrect. It's wrong. It's not just morally wrong. It's, like, logically wrong.
Huge and so all-encompassing that it has built a system. It has built a system of capitalism. It has built a system of oppression. It has built parasitic capitalism that gives you these cities and these nations. Where are the cities and these nations for these other slaves? These other slave owners.
The Irish slaves. Where's their Mecca?
What about the 1.5 million white people sold into slavery during the Barbary Pirates?
Yeah, what?
I don't know what he's talking about here. I'm unfamiliar with this story, but I'm sure it's just some right-wing, excuse to just completely ignore black slavery.
Isn't that why we had to invent the Marines to protect ourselves from all these Muslim pirates stealing our women?
The biggest colonial empire, aside from the British, was the Ottoman Empire, and no one seems to want reparations for them because they're not white.
Interesting. The Ottoman Empire was, it's modern-day Turkey, and it was Muslim previously. It was like the Ottoman Caliphate is another name for it. So he's complaining about, what about it?
Built parasitic capitalism that gives you these cities and these nations. Where are the cities and these nations for these other slaves, these other slave owners?
The Irish slaves. Where's their Mecca?
What about the 1.5 million white people sold into slavery during the Barbary Pirates?
What about the 1.5 million white people who were owned?
Yeah, isn't that why we had to invent the Marines to protect ourselves from all these Muslim pirates stealing our women?
The biggest colonial empire, aside from the British, was the Ottoman Empire, and no one seems to want reparations for them because they're not white.
Well, I don't know what the hell he's going on about right now. Turkey's got really bad problems that need to be dealt with, but Turkey is nowhere near dealing with its problems. Like, they're not even on the same wavelength. That doesn't mean they shouldn't be dealt with. And it's beyond Turkey, of course, but okay. We'll leave the past in the past. You know what? Past is in the past. But mistreatment of the black community isn't in the past today. That's like now. That's happening as we speak. And that needs to be dealt with desperately.
Yeah.
Anyway, I mean, I was going to bring up.
You gave reparations for the Japanese, right?
Correct. They were directly affected.
No, we didn't. We were total tyrants.
Well, those who were directly in turn got reparations.
Yeah, but I'm glad you brought up Japan.
Go in on the barbers and all these other kind of things, but you are currently living right now.
Yeah, Native Americans got reparations, but nobody is giving reparations to the black community. Again, like, we need to fix this. We need to find some way to make this fair.
On a system that is built from the slavery and the colonization of other people, of African people, and that you cannot negate from. And no, we just did not.
I disagree.
It's so much more, and it built an entire nation. America.
Whoa, wait a minute. I understand that there's... Wait. There seems to be, like, an interesting thing happening with the legal case. Black Hammer Party trial postponed for members charged with kidnapping in Georgia. Fayetteville police arrested 36-year-old Gazi and 21-year-old Xavier Russian in July 2022 in connection with the standoff at a home in the Woodbine division of a subdivision off of White Road. They were set to start their jury trial Monday, but now a judge has pushed the case to the spring. According to investigators, officers responded to the home in Selwyn Court after a man called 911 claimed to have been kidnapped. There was a dead body in the home. In the warrant released to the public after the arrests, the Fayetteville Police Department says two men been forced at gunpoint from part of the home into its padlock-locked garage and were not allowed to leave. Why? Why did he do that? What was the logic? Was he just being like a fucking nutcase? Let me just read it correctly. Officials allege that Romain, who also goes by the name Gazi Kodzo, is the leader of a group known as the Black Hammer Party, an organization that describes itself as a symbol of hope for the colonized working class, and which police say they've documented as a criminal street gang. Interesting, okay. Russian, also known as Kino, and Ammons, aka AP, were both members of the group. According to the warrant, Romain ordered both Russian and Ammons to point guns at the two victims and forced them into the garage so that he could sodomize one of them. Okay. Wow. I mean, we knew that Gazi was gay, but I guess that's not really like, it's not necessarily like a gay straight thing, right? I suppose it could be like a power thing. Russian was arrested by officers outside the home after police say they found him walking Romain's dog when they arrived. When police tried to approach him, investigators say he tried to pull away and reached for a gun in his pocket. Did they kill him? He's charged... Oh, no, he's not dead. Charged with 2 counts of aggravated sodomy. Gazi Kodzo is. Conspiracy to commit a felony, false imprisonment, party to a crime. Kidnappings, party to a crime. Aggravated assault, party to a crime. So is Russian dead? I don't know if Russian is dead. I think he might be dead. I think they pulled a trigger on the dude. Holy Christ. On Twitter, the group received some coverage after they called Holocaust victim Anne Frank a bleach demon, a Karen, and a colonizer. Are you shitting me right now? In the last few years, groups protested outside the CDC against COVID vaccines. Wow. Why doesn't that surprise me? And in support of rapper Nicki Minaj, who at the time had recently tweeted that she wasn't vaccinated. Oh yeah, she was acting like a nutcase. The groups also collaborated with Gavin McInnes, the founder of the Proud Boys, over the mutual anti-vax beliefs. Wow, that surprises the hell out of me, actually. Suspect arrested in Fayetteville SWAT standoff identified as leader of controversial cult. Former members of the group have told Fox 5 that once they were recruited into the group, they weren't allowed to leave. I was starved out, sleep deprived, I couldn't take it no more, said a woman who called herself Savvy, the group's former chief of staff. I just wanted to go home. They allege that Kodzo went to places heavily frequented by people experiencing homelessness, like Atlanta's Woodruff Park, and recruited young people experiencing homelessness into the group, promising them food, shelter, and income. Wow. I wonder where he was getting the money to fund this.
Tonight we're getting an inside look at a deadly SWAT standoff involving an extremist group in Fayetteville. It all started when someone in that group home called 911.
They call themselves the Black Hammer Party, and former members say the leader hijacked the movement and held them against their will. Tonight, they're speaking only to Fox 5's Rob D'Arienzo.
The Black Hammer Party is an organization widely considered a fringe extremist group that former members say targets people who are homeless, for recruitment. I spoke to one of the 9 people who were in the Fayetteville house on the morning of the deadly SWAT standoff. That person says the surviving members of the group are looking for them, so we agreed to conceal their identity.
Holy Christ, that's scary, dude.
We woke up and the police and everything were surrounding the house, so we were asked to come out one by one.
This former member of Black Hammer says the 6-hour standoff was terrifying. Police say that
I bet
they got a 911 call from inside the house from someone who said they were being held against their will in the garage.
I could have been next. I would have been next.
I was starved out, sleep deprived. I couldn't take it no more, and I just wanted to go home.
Former members say the group's leader, Gazi, real name Augustus Romaine, took young homeless people in from off the streets, promising them food, shelter, and income. They say once they were in, they couldn't get out.
Yeah, beat us. He would make us do physical labor.
I'm getting the impression that Gazi is not trans. Because everybody, every single person all the way along the line has referred to Gazi as he. Even people that work closely with him. And if somebody is trans, usually somebody along the line, even if they were like adversarial to the person, somebody along the line will like use the correct pronouns or at least to bring it up or whatever. It's not even being brought up right now. It seems to me like it's most likely that Gazi is not trans, but I don't know.
He forced me to stand outside for like 5 hours with his defense, so I couldn't leave.
At the end of Tuesday's standoff, police say they found the body of 18-year-old Amonte Ammons, one of the alleged kidnappers, who the group calls their defense minister.
Their defense minister, oh my God, they're forming out a full-blown government. That is insane. And they found AP's body? July 19th, 2022. Wow, that's a day before my birthday.
Amonte Ammons, one of the alleged kidnappers, who the group calls their defense minister. Police say he killed himself. Ammons' mom, back home in North Carolina, says her son battled mental illness.
My son called me and told me he was in an organization and it was helping the homeless.
She says they took advantage of his condition and brainwashed him.
That's really sad, and that does not surprise me at all.
She blames Black Hammer for her son's death.
If I had knew that this was going on down there, God is my living witness, I would have never let my son stay in Georgia.
Black Hammer's former chief of staff, who calls herself Savvy, says once you're in, you cannot leave. The group began in 2019 with a stated mission of taking the land back for all colonized people.
Yeah, that's kind of the nature of a cult. It's really hard to get out once you get in.
Savvy said Kadzo infiltrated it.
They're already using this kid as a martyr, which I think is really sick. They're already fundraising for.
Okay, it appears as though Gazi, according to KJ Doglove, it seems like he only changed his name. Okay, that's good. I have no problem referring to him as Gazi. A lot of people try to, like, evade accountability by changing their name. That's not what's happening here. Gazi is, like, notorious under his name, like his real name, or his, under his, fake name, I guess, or whatever. So I'm totally fine with it. I will not call Kanye Ye, because in my opinion, that was clearly an attempt to avoid accountability. But I'll do it for Gazi.
Off of this kid's death.
Now a judge has denied bond for both Kadzo and another member who allegedly took part in the kidnapping plot. Kadzo is also charged with sodomy. Next on News Edge, I'm talking with an extremism researcher who's been following this group for a while.
So yeah, I don't think that there should ever be, like, charges for sodomy. That seems really stupid to me, except this doesn't seem like he did it because he's gay. It seems like it was a power thing, as most violent sexual encounters tend to be. It's always based around violence.
Why he says that most in the home were Kadzo's victims. In Atlanta, Rob DiRienzo, Fox 5 News.
Rob, thanks.
So yeah, that's the video. Wow, dude. Absolutely nuts. That is absolutely nuts. And there is...
running from police.
Oh my God. There is an item in here. I don't know where it is. Where's the item? I'll come back for it later. Anyway, that's really interesting. And it's even more interesting that he worked with Gavin McInnes on anti-vax stuff. Wow, that's crazy. What? Dude is a predator. Sodomy is only for specific types of taking advantage of people. I'm trying to keep it monetizer friendly. Yeah, maybe there shouldn't be like a an individual distinction then. Maybe that distinction should just be like taking advantage of somebody, just plain taking advantage of somebody.
Today would not be America today if it wasn't for the enslavement of African people. Europe would not be Europe today if it wasn't for colonialism and slavery. White nations, white people would not be where white people are right now if it was not for colonialism and not for slavery. And right now you are dealing with a crisis of imperialism, of African and colonized people fighting every day. That's why when you go to your air...
Like, I'm not convinced that America wouldn't be where it is today if not for slavery. And I'm not convinced that, like, the Western world generally wouldn't be where it is today if not for slavery either. Like, the Second and Third Reichs, to my knowledge, did not have slaves. And they were a technological equivalent to, like, America, basically, and to other neighboring countries. So I'm not sure about that. Am I wrong about that? I'm correct about that, aren't I? That there weren't slaves in the Second or Third Reich between 1879 and 1945 in Germany?
You got to go through all these freaking checkouts and take your shoes off and everything. You want to know why? The motherfuckers are coming back to take back their stuff. You want to know why you have to build a wall? Because people are coming back to take their stuff. You want to know why you have to drop...
Okay, I don't know what he's talking about.
The biggest bomb, the biggest non-nuclear bomb of Afghanistan, because African and colonized people are fighting for their shit back consistently everywhere. So as much as you want to negate it, as much as you want to say, well, what about this and this happened and this happened, and oh my God, this happened in history, this happened in history. Motherfuckers are coming for your neck. Do you not see that?
So the reason
okay, that's a good argument for a wall.
The reason we bombed ISIS in Afghanistan is to steal money from Africa?
And then the best...
No, it was to steal oil from the Middle East. I think it's pretty obvious that's the point that he was making, right? Am I, like, missing something?
The best summation
he's very obviously just trying to make fun of Gazi and make his argument seem ridiculous, right? But if you're going to make his argument seem ridiculous, then do it on, like, its merits rather than just making shit up.
To do, Matt, is to come up with a book about Islam, that Islam is the crux of this issue, that Islam is the core of this issue, that, you know, these Muslims just hate freedom. No, these...
I mean, there are a lot of problems with Islam, absolutely.
Colonized people hate that you're bombing them and you're stealing their resources and starving them to death. And
what are these resources you keep talking about?
We took their diamonds and built an entire country from it.
Yeah, I don't drive a diamond mobile. Do you mean oil?
You drive something that is filled with the oil, right? You use something that's filled with propane, right?
Yeah.
Right? All these metals, all this stuff, where do you think that came from?
The metal? Where do we get metal from?
Metal here, China.
We're doing great for metal.
Oil that is in your car is blood oil. All the diamonds that you have, even when you give to your wife, and this is the diamond, is blood diamonds stolen from African people.
Well, then why do
I think we get most?
I don't know about that. That's not true. There's nuance to this, but as a cult leader, Gazi doesn't understand nuance, like, at all. There are all kinds of different types of diamonds. In fact, the wedding ring I got my wife, it was a completely ethically sourced ring. Also need to know that in Iraq and Afghanistan, the U.S. government took several archaeological artifacts from both places. That does not surprise me at all. In fact, honestly, I'd be surprised if the U.S. didn't do that kind of shit. The U.S. was only there for, like, oil. That's it, really. I mean, certainly in Iraq, only there for one reason. There was no reason, really, no good reason for the U.S. to be in Iraq. None. That shit was just fabricated.
Of our oil from Canada and Mexico, and most of the oil from Saudi.
Dude, is this guy denying that the U.S. went to Iraq for oil? Are you shitting me? You know what? I'm not even going to argue with him. I'll let George Bush do the arguing.
In contrast, Russian elections are rigged. Political opponents are imprisoned or otherwise eliminated from participating in the electoral process. The result is an absence of checks and balances in Russia, and the decision of one man to launch a wholly unjustified and brutal invasion of Iraq.
Of what? What did he just say? A brutal invasion of what?
A wholly unjustified and brutal invasion of Iraq. I mean, of Ukraine.
Whoopsie daisy.
Iraq too. Anyway.
Oh, he said Iraq too. Huh. That's interesting. That's an interesting thing for George Bush to say. I'm sorry. Yeah, it was George Bush. That's an interesting thing for George Bush to say, right? I don't even need to make the argument. Gazi doesn't need to make the argument. Gavin McInnes is fighting against history here. Like George Bush himself, the dude that started it, admitted to this, okay? I don't want to hear it.
We pay for our oil. I don't understand and that's Islam.
Does he really not understand? Is he really this stupid, or is he just pretending to be this stupid? He can't be, right?
You pay who? You pay who?
Islam.
Saudi Arabia.
Saudi Arabians. Very rich Saudis.
Very rich Saudis that do exactly whatever America says, and if they don't, that they will be replaced. But the masses of the people of Saudi Arabia are poor and colonized. The masses of the people of the Middle East are poor and colonized.
Yeah, are poor and colonized. No, I don't think that's true. That's wrong. But I will take it this far. I will say the U.S. has had a tendency to like take advantage of people and replace regimes and things like that. Absolutely. Gazi is right about most of what he's saying here. It's just like that, 30% that he's like totally wrong about. We in the UK know that we went to war with Saddam for the oil. Even TB finally admitted it when asked if he'd do it again. TB, hang on, let me think. TB, Tony Blair. Oh, God, I couldn't remember who the prime minister was. I knew the prime minister's name, and I was trying to think, is that what that is? I just could not connect the dots on that. Yes, Tony Blair, thank you. Gazi is a he? Yes. No disrespect, at least not from me, interpreted. I think it's okay to ask those questions. And yes, Gazi is a he. And he is gay. And he's also not very happy with people who don't use his name, Gazi. He prefers Gazi rather than like his birth name. So I will respect that. Anyway, Gazi needs help. Seriously, this is nuts. He is probably exactly where he belongs, in jail. To my knowledge, he's in jail.